that you guys are here. Some of you, this is the first time hearing, being on an airplane, but you guys made it out here, and I'm so proud and I'm so happy that you guys are out here. And so now, real quickly, the last special group I want to give thanks to is that if you are part of law enforcement or if you have served our great military, can you please stand up real quickly? I know we have a couple of individuals in the room. Can we give them a round of applause? Thank you. Please remember these faces. These people are their true heroes. These are the people that are the reason why we can, have free speech, why we can share freedom. So remember, feel free to stop by and just say thank you for your service, thank you for your sacrifice, because without them, we wouldn't be here today. So make sure you do that, please. Okay, we can clap for that. So today, I want to share a little bit about my story, a little bit about, what it means being a DACA recipient and living the American dream. Most importantly, I want to speak from the heart. I want to speak from my values. I want to speak and be transparent with you and honest with you. Is that okay? Is that okay if I can speak, that way? Awesome. So I want to highlight a little bit about, what's going on with DACA. What is DACA for those that don't know it? Kind of think about what my solution is. I also want to talk a little bit about what it means to be fearless. And also, if I have time, what it means to be a Hispanic conservative, especially during these times right now. So I'll quickly begin with my story. So my name is Hilario Yanez. I am a fearless conservative dreamer. I'm also a DACA recipient. Woo! Thank you. And my story starts back from when I was born. I was born in Tampico, Tamaulipas. And by the age of 1, my mother decided for us, she decided for us to come to America to live the American dream. I didn't make that decision. She did it for me. I just want to be very clear on that. Fast forward, we end up in Houston, and I remember I was 3 years old, and I remember seeing my stepfather at the time, where he used to beat my mother, be very abusive, would push her around. And here I am as a 3-year-old watching this. And I couldn't say anything and I couldn't do anything. But those images still play very vividly in my mind to this day, which is why I have so much respect for every woman, every mother that I meet. I mean, you guys, man, I wish there were more. I wish we need a Latina to be and a woman to be our president. To really, I feel like that's bound to happen. And so I just love, just standing up for women and the women in my life, my mother, my sister, my wife. I'm just so blessed to have them in my life. So back to my story real quickly. So I used to see my stepdad beat my mother when I was 3. And then it turns out that he finds out that my mom's pregnant. And it turns out that he can no longer beat my mother. So he ends up packing up his stuff and abandons my family. My mother, who's pregnant, myself, who's 3-year-old, and my 2-year-old sister in a garage. So we had no place to stay. And by the grace of God, we end up finding a homeless shelter in Houston called, ironically, Star of Hope. And this shelter gave my family and my mother hope. It helped my mother get back on her feet. Eventually, she was able to find a couple of houses to clean. We ended up finding a small apartment where it was a 1-bedroom apartment. And that's all she could ever do, and that's all she ever did was to make sure so that way we can, she can do the best for us. So I ended up living without a father in my life. I lived in a rough neighborhood. To be honest, Second Ward, Southeast Houston, that's where I'm at, where I'm from, that's where I'm proud of. But it wasn't the best neighborhood. I would always see the gangs around, in the corners selling drugs. There was a couple of times our house got shot at. And so it wasn't the best neighborhood to live in. To make matters worse, I was undocumented. Growing up, I would always wrestle with God, and I would always blame him, and I would always be angry at him for giving me the life that he had given me. I was young, and I always played this victim mentality growing up. I would always question God? Why me? Why me? Why did you have to give me all these things? Why do I always have to sleep on the floor? Why can't we just have a bigger apartment or an extra bed? I would always question God, why do I always have to be, on public transportation? Why do I have to wake up 2 or 3 hours before to just ride across, to go across town to go to school? Why can't we just own a car? I would always question God, where's my father? Where is he, God? And then when it came, every time, a new school year came around, and I'm going to be brutally honest here, it was time to fill in the school application, and it said your parents' occupation. And I would be sometimes embarrassed to put that my mother was a housekeeper. Because I would see other parents who had jobs, were clerks, had a career, and here my mom was cleaning houses for a living. But the main question I would ask God was, God, why did you make me undocumented? Why can't I just be normal like all my friends? So living as an undocumented at an early age was really tough. Growing up, I would always have this fear of being deported. So my mom always made sure that I always did the thing, made sure that I did the right thing. Never did anything stupid in school, never did drugs. Made sure that I always followed the rules, listened to the teacher. So that way, I wouldn't be deported. She put that fear in me for a reason. But I was always fearful that one day my mom wouldn't come back and pick me up from school. Because of one day she would be picked up by, thank you so much. One day she would be picked up and be deported. And I love my mom to death. And I don't know what I would do without her. So growing up undocumented mean that I couldn't have a driver's license. I couldn't work like my friends would in high school. I also couldn't travel as well. I couldn't go to family vacations. I never experienced what a family vacation was like. And I never told anyone of my situation because I was afraid that they would see me as weak. I always felt like people would see me as less than. And what makes things the worst, I think what's really frustrating and the worst part is that I didn't make this decision. This decision was made for me. I didn't choose to come to this country. And I think if I would have had the decision to make it, I would have done things the right way. So all of a sudden, DACA comes around. And fast forward in high school in 2011, I ended up barely graduating because I didn't think I could go to college. I didn't think at that time, undocumented people couldn't apply for financial aid, at least from the federal state. But luckily, through our state of Texas, there is Texas financial aid. So that the state of Texas put some money on the side. And because of that, I was able to go and start off small at a First Community College. So I started small there. And ironically, I graduated in 2011. A year later, President Obama gives an executive order called DACA in 2012. And so what is DACA? So DACA stands for Deferred Action of Childhood Arrivals. And this pretty much meant anyone that came at a young age through no fault of their own would not be deported. I'll go to say this. No matter if you're black, white, brown, yellow, Republican, or Democrat, if you give me an opportunity or you have given me an opportunity, I'm always going to be grateful for it. And so in order to not get deported, I needed to go through an extensive background check with the Department of ICE. I had to submit my biometrics. I had to do a background check. I also had to pay a $500 fee every 2 years that I needed to reapply. And I was given a Social Security, and I was given a 2-year work permit. And I was able to apply for a driver's license after that. And that's all I needed. This was my moment. One shot to live the American dream. And I made sure I was going to take it. So what did my life look like after DACA? I went on to buy a car, a 2-door Cobalt, which I still drive today. And if those wheels fall off, I will put some new wheels and continue driving that car. That's my college car. I'm proud of that. And eventually, I ended up getting working at a small grocery store. You know, I worked hard, paid my taxes. I was able to pay my way through college. I transferred to a bigger university, the University of Houston, a Tier 1 university. And thank you. Go Cougs, baby. That's right. So I went from and so eventually in college, I went on to intern at 4 different Fortune 500 companies, one of them being Chevron, the largest company in the world, one of the largest companies in the world. I went from making $7.25 to minimum wage pretty much to almost making $30 in my internship. So life was good. This pretty much helped me pay my way through college and help and support my family. I ended up graduating with 2 degrees, and now I'm standing here as a first-generation college graduating and working for a Fortune 500 company. And I say this humbly, I have a salary of close to 6 figures, and sometimes I pay too much in taxes. I'm a strong believer in free markets and capitalism. You know, I've learned how money works for me, and I don't need to work for money. So I sacrifice and I save and I invest my money into the free market, into the markets. If I continue to work hard for the next 15 years, I can retire as a millionaire. Nice. And I can live financially free. I'm also an investor, I'm a consumer, and I help stimulate and provide millions of jobs across this country. I'm also a leader in my community, and I tithe every Sunday at church. Lastly, I'm working on getting my license in investments, and I want to become a financial advisor so that I can help families become protected, debt-free, and achieve financial independence, especially in our Hispanic community. Because of DACA, I was not only able to dream the American dream, I am living it, and I am breathing the American dream. All I needed was one shot. So let me talk to you a little bit about the problem now when it comes to DACA. What President Obama did was the right thing to do, but it was the wrong way to go about it. DACA is unconstitutional, and we need to get rid of it, and we need to replace it with a permanent solution. President Trump has every right to get rid of DACA, and unfortunately it's being challenged in the courts right now. This president has brought solutions to the table and even proposed a pathway to citizenship for people like myself, which is why I support him 100%. This president is a father. This president has a heart. This president is courageous. And most importantly, he is compassionate towards the dreamers. Look, DACA is not a Republican problem. It's not a Democratic problem. It's an American problem. There is a sense of urgency right now to get things done, because if we don't, it's going to have a ripple effect. My permit expires in 1 year, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. This doesn't only affect myself, it affects my family, it affects my employer, it affects my community, my church, schools, jobs, and businesses. My proposed solution is, let's continue to enhance our border. Let's continue to fund for technologies, for walls, whatever it takes to have immigration control. I'm a firm believer that if we want to have immigration reform, we need to have immigration control. And that happens through funding and securing our border. I believe that there's a great opportunity for both parties to come together, to bring up a border security funding package in exchange for a permanent solution for dreamers like myself. Now here's the thing, I'm not asking for me to skip the line, I'm not asking to become a citizen, I'm asking for a chance to stay here permanently. And whether it's 10 or 15 or 30 years from down the line that I can become a citizen, then that's fine, but I want a chance to earn it. Give me the opportunity to stay here and continue to pay my taxes, to serve my community, to ensure stability to our employers and also to our families. The reality is that you and I are no different. We pledge allegiance to the same flag. We watch the same shows. I just happen to watch The Office. That's my show, baby. Come on now. We go to the same schools. We root for the same teams. I go for the Houston Rockets, baby. Look, the reality is that I can be your brother. Matter of fact, you are my brother. You are my sister. We are family. Family sticks together. And if I'm given a chance to stay with certainty here, I wanted to lay my life so that you can continue to live this country with freedom by me having a chance to serve the military and give back to my country. That's how much I love you and I care about you and I love this country. Without America, I wouldn't be here today. Now, real quickly, I want to talk about what it means taking on the Democrats and what it means to be fearless. Look, to summarize, I support this president. I'm a conservative. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ. I'm educated. I support border security. I'm a businessman. I believe in free markets and capitalism. I'm Hispanic. I'm young. I'm a dreamer. And finally, I'm an immigrant who calls out Democrats for the lies, for using us as pawns. I'm not afraid to call out anybody. I'm taking I'm willing to take sides or take on anyone, a Democrat or a Republican. So do you think Democrats like me? No. Do you think I go against their agenda? Do you think they're afraid of me? Do you think I am a threat? Absolutely. But I'm not afraid because I believe in my God. I believe in my country. I believe in my values. I believe who I am. And at the end of the day, I'm willing to go at it. And we need more people like you. More people to be fearless. More people to speak up for our values. Not be afraid. Because our country needs us. And we're our last hope. So thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. I love you guys. I love you from the bottom of my heart.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. I guess we'll take a couple of questions.